name is Ezekiel. I'm going to be handling this session. I wasn't too sure when to start, so guess I'll start. Since it's a very small room, would it be okay if we just introduce ourselves? Just let us know your name, what you do. So, for one, it allows me to know the kind of room. And secondly, you might be praying for something that somebody else here has. I've made a lot of money from just walking into rooms and having people introduce themselves, because sometimes you might meet somebody that you've been praying for. Right? And I don't mean that as in like meet a husband and a wife. I mean meet somebody that your business needs, right? Will you okay? You don't have to stand for it. Just sit up.
Thank you. My name is Michael and I'm a 3D animator.
Okay. Did you run a business?
Oh no, I work with Orange.
Okay, Orange. Okay, good. I know Orange. Great. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Benedict Olumese. I'm founder of Creative Pixel Academy. We do gaming, animation, VFX, motion media, and motion capture classes. We just really started.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Hi, my name is Usas. I'm creative director of Spoof Animation.
Spoof. Thank you, sir.
I'm Abu Charles, 3D animator, Orange VFX.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Okeke Chimizi, animation supervisor, Orange VFX.
Orange VFX. Yes, sir.
Francis I'm a founder of Inspired Effects Films Studio. I'm also a 3D animator.
I didn't hear
Inspired Effects.
Inspired. Okay, I had Spired. So
Okay, Inspired Effects Films Studio.
Okay,
I'm
Inspired.
also a 3D animator.
Okay, great. Yes, sir.
If it's not cheap, operations personnel, tips animation studio.
Tips Animation Studio.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Adira Yokubojo. I'm the founder of Tips Animation Studios.
Tapes Animation Studio. Great. Yes.
Hi, my name is Kital. I'm the art director for Tapes Animation.
Tapes Animation Studio. Beautiful. Yes.
My name is Andres. I'm the writer and for Israel Publication. Israel Publication, right now.
I didn't hear that.
Israel Publication.
Israel.
Here.
Like
HIS.
his
Rule. RULE.
Okay, his rule.
Yeah.
Oh, I had his root, so. So I wanted to be sure. Yeah, this is a creative meeting, so it's allowed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a friend that he runs a creative agency, and so they have this very funny way that they name themselves. So as the CEO, it's called the Chief Wizard, and then they are supposed to do a program for a church. And so he goes and he introduces himself to the pastor as the Chief Wizard of the company. I'm sure you know he didn't get the job, right? So, you, last person.
My name is Olusegun Olaye. I'm the founder of Lasgidi Fest. Basically, it promotes Nigerian festivals anywhere around the country, and we cover events also.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll say a little bit about myself and then we'll kick on. Sorry, I lost my voice because I do a lot of talking for a living. So my name is Ezekiel Sholesi. I run a couple of businesses, but what I'm most known for is my consulting firm. I work with businesses like Shell and whatever, but I really have worked with about 2,400 startups in about a decade. We have 32 of our clients that do over $1 billion a year in revenue, and of the 32 of them, just about 3 of them were doing $1 billion by the time we started working with them. So we know a thing or two on how to help businesses make a lot of money. All right, and I have a bit of a history in animation also. A bit, well, not really a bit of history. In 2005, I met somebody who, at the time, wanted to study, graduate with first class, and go work with MTN. But the person kind of liked cartoons, like really, really liked cartoons. And I think about a year later, I kind of suggested, why don't you just, take this cartoon thing a little seriously? So she went to NIT, and at the time, the cost there was about 200 and something thousand. This was 2006, and decided that she was going to take it seriously, take it as a business. And in 2010, she put together all the money that she had in allowance, and we started an animation studio. And I believe so much in the future that I actually got married to the person too. Right? She spoke yesterday. Her name is Damilola Sholesi. She is the CEO of Smith's Animation Studios. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. So she's the. Oh, next. Okay, good. So she's the CEO of Smith's Animation Studios. So I've had the opportunity to sort of be around the industry for a while. So I know Mr. Richard at Orange. I pretty much know everybody around. And so what I'm going to be sharing here is a couple of things that I feel that we should be thinking about, because one of the things that I do is I study the macroeconomics and I study the trends, and I'm able to help businesses see around the corner what's coming, right? And so what we're going to try and talk about today is really what's coming for you guys. And unfortunately, I feel like what's coming for the creative industry is bigger than most people here have seen. It's huge. I mean, it's incredibly huge. And we have to do a couple of things. So my topic today was leadership and management. So I'm going to be talking about a few things with regard to leadership, a few things with regard to management, how we should sort of organize ourselves. Next slide, please. There's a problem now with this. What happened to the other one? Why wasn't it working?
Yeah, that's the connection.
Okay, because it was working. Yeah. Okay, good. So now when I'm working with any concepts, right? Every single concept in business or in life has something that we call the critical success factors. It's not, you don't need to. Now, I graduated the best student in my class when I was in school, and I studied chemistry, by the way. And one of the reasons why I did so well academically, even though I didn't exactly enjoy academics, was because I understood this critical success factor. So to score an A back in the day, you have to score 70 and above.
Yep.
Now, what that means is that you can fail 30 and still score an A.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you manage how you are going to fail 30 or less, then you can still fail the 30 and still come out tops. Right? And so when you look at the entire curriculum, you probably realize that the lecturer that is talking to you has certain biases towards certain topics. And so I would focus on those topics because I know that the 70 marks would come from there. And I mean, I'll be okay being able to fail about 20 or 25, Sometimes I failed more than 30, so I didn't score A. But oftentimes I would try and fail within the 30 range, and then still come out tops. And so when I look at every concept, every time I look at a business or a concept, I'm asking, what's the critical success factor of this? What's the one or two thing that I can focus on, and then every other thing wouldn't matter, right? Because if I focus on those things and I become successful, or I push the envelope a lot more on those things, some other parts of my life or some other things that I don't do too well would not matter. For example, I have one of my biggest clients in the real estate industry. I've sort of coached and worked with her for 8 years now. They do somewhere close to 60, 70 billion a year now, right? That woman has the worst time management. She's the worst time manager in the history of time management. I'm telling you, she has a meeting with you for 12. She might not show up at 12. She'll show up like 2:30, and she's not even aware that she's late, right? And so it puzzled me a lot about how this kind of person can become successful. But when you sit down with this person and you're talking, she is so strategic, she would predict exactly what would happen in our industry 7 years from now. And she'll put things in place that would make that happen, right? So in her space, most cases, showing up for meetings early might not be the thing that determines the ultimate success of a business, right? And so when you look at leadership and management, I figured that particularly for leadership, the two major things that we need to take, that we need to pay a little bit more attention to as people in this industry is what the size of your vision is, and then what your ability to communicate it is. And I'll explain why. Next slide, please. So first, I want to talk about just leadership. What is leadership? The simple definition is it's the ability to inspire and influence a group of people towards a worthwhile goal, and that worthwhile goal could be anything. It could be towards, changing the industry. It could be towards making more money. It could be whatever it is, right? And all of these reasons are valid. There is no invalid reason as to why you intend to build a business. Somebody says, "Oh, build a business because you want to change the world." It's okay. Build a business because you want to be all right. It's equally okay, right? I'm telling you, right? Some of the biggest business people that I have built businesses in areas that they have zero passion in. I know a client started a business, zero passion, only to hustle to find 350,000 naira just so that because they were homeless for 3 years. So she wanted to just hustle something out and get 350,000 naira so that they can get a place, right? And that desire to get 350,000 naira 2 years down the line became 2.1 billion naira revenue, right? So is whatever the goal is not as important as the fact that there should be a goal. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So what that means is that whatever your goal is, whatever your reasons are, as long as it's a reason, it's valid, right? So I'm not going to stand here and try and invalidate, whatever your reasons are. If you started your animation studio because you want to be a billionaire, valid. Just don't stop until you become a billionaire. Right? If you started your animation studio because you wanted to make great movies, good. Don't stop until you make great movies. If you started because you want to build a place like Ebony Place, fantastic. Just don't stop. And when you get it, try and find another thing that can keep you going. Yeah. All right? But the point is, when you decide what that goal is, then you need to figure out, how do I inspire and influence people so that we can go together? Because ultimately, nobody achieves anything worthwhile alone. No matter how hard you try, if you don't have leverage, I live in Magodo. If I came out of my house and I started walking, I'd probably not be here now. So essentially, I can't get from my house to this place alone, right? I need a car. And that car needed an entire team of people to put it together, right? And so as leaders, we must understand that yes, our goal is valid, whatever it is, right? And then the people that we have around us, you can't coerce them. You have to be able to inspire, and you have to be able to find ways to influence them, right? And note that I didn't use the word motivate, even though it's important. But oftentimes, the people in your organization must be inspired by the size of your goal. And what really would inspire them, it's not by the grandness of the size of your goal, it's about how it would affect their lives. It's about how it would affect their lives. I'm telling you. So I had this client of mine that we've been working with the last 2 years. They did 100 million in medical services. So they did 100 million going into 2020. And the goal for 2020 was to do 400 million in revenue, right? And COVID happened, things turned around, and at the end of the year, they did 3.6 billion in revenue, right? And so, and we had started working with them from 2020. So I remember I was talking to her about, I was in a house in January 2021, right? Yeah, January 2021. So we had set a goal. They wanted to do 17.4 billion naira in revenue in that year. Because if you hit 3,600% growth in 1 year, you want to at least push the envelope a little bit, right? So we're sitting down there and we're talking about how is this going to happen, right? And I started to ask her. I asked her a question. I said, how big does your business need to be for people in your organizations, senior management people, to be able to afford to live where you live? She stays in Banana Island, right? I said, look, because if you create a goal, create a dream that is big enough that they can see themselves being able to access the kind of lifestyle that you have, they will work like crazy, right? And yes, this is, as at October, they had hit that goal already. October, they hit the goal already, right? So whatever it is your goal is, it mustn't just be big enough for you, but it must be big enough to inspire the people that are on your team. It must be. You know, I remember when I first asked that. So when I was in the house, I was talking to her. I said, "What are the kind of people that live here?" And so she said, "Of course, entrepreneurs, maybe expatriates from Shell, Total, and all that." Because she lives in all these, multiplex buildings, right? They're like 5 floors, 2 different flats on the floor, And so she sort of gave me like description of people that live there. And then I now said, okay, good. So what would it take for your people to be able to afford? Say, but some kind of things, you can't achieve them if you don't have a business. I said, you just gave yourself out. You told me that your neighbors work for other people, right? You told me that your neighbor, not everybody that lives here, own their own business. So the question is, why don't you want to build a business big enough so that the people that work for you, because again, you're not going to put them in the house in Banana because you like them. There is nobody whose company puts in the Banana house because they like them. They put them there because, number one, the company could afford it, right? Number two, the person has so much value to the organization that they consider that amount of comfort a minimum requirement to keep that kind of talent. Right? Great. So the big question is, as much as all of your goal is valid, who is it valid for? Is it valid just for you? Or is it valid enough to inspire the people that work with you? And that's very, very key. Because sometimes leaders, business owners, we're in our own head, right? We want to make it in life, we want to grow, we want to build, And if we don't build something that is equally big enough for the people that are coming with us, what would happen is that in the process of building, somebody who works with you right now would look at the system and realize that being in this place, they can't hit what they want. So they learn as much as they can, and then they walk away. Either walk away to start their own thing, or walk away to work with somebody else. All right? So I want to give you sort of like a model of how big you can dream. How big of a vision you can have, right? When we consider the critical success factors. So the first thing I want us to talk about is really vision. And vision, I'm not talking about what your vision is. I'm really just talking about what's coming. You see, the country is changing, right? And the opportunities that are coming are insane. I'll give you examples of different other industries, but then I'll tell you what's coming for your own industry, for example, right? Now, I work with entrepreneurs across different industries, and one of those industries is real estate. We have about 15 of our clients. 7 of them do over $1 billion a year, and they've hit massive success in a very short time, 3-4 years, right? And it's basically because of this. If you're going to understand what's coming, the most important place to look at in any country is the population dynamics and what it's telling you. Right? Depends on whatever report that you read. Nigeria is going to have 420 to 500 million people by 2050. It might sound like a long shot, but we're essentially 29 years away. Right? And it might sound that it's not possible until you think about the fact that when Obasanjo was president, OBJ, still alive, the population of Nigeria was 80 million. When Obasanjo was president, when he left office. Today, we're at 214 million, according to the current, stats from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. 214, right? That means we're going to be, so the World Bank report says we're going to be 420 million. What's the name of those guys? Okonjo-Iweala chaired a report called Next Generation Nigeria that says we're going to be 500 million, whichever one you believe. So let's stick with 400 million, right? Now, what that means, now the analysis also tells us that in 2050, we would have about 85% of the population between 18 and 35. Now, if you understand that, please next slide. If you understand that, that would tell you, for example, that if 85% of the population will be between 18 and 35, it means that within the next 12 years, 150 million of those people will be born. All those 150 million will be born. Why is this important? Because the entire economy moves in the direction of population. The entire economy. So if in 12 years' time, at least Nigeria would add an additional 150 million people, right? That would be between 0 to 12, because the last batch of these 18 to 35 people would be born by 2034. The last batch of them. So that by the time we get to 2050, we would have 85% of people that are, between 18 and 35, right? Good. So if you look at that, what does that tell you about the market for content in Nigeria? What does that tell you?
Huge markets.
It tells you that it is not just huge, it's explosive. And you also have realized, if you watch a little bit, that the world is beginning to adjust to that. Why? Everybody's setting up a streaming service now. Everybody is setting up a streaming service now. And they want to do it global. Arise has a streaming service, Glow is setting up a streaming service, probably MTN would. There's Netflix, there's Prime, there are millions of streaming, thousands of streaming services that will come up over the next couple of years. So right now what it means is that we are now, by 2050, we'll have 280 million young people. And what that means is that we'll have 280 million people that are between 0 to 25. Right? 280 million people. So for example, now, if I run an animation studio right now, I'll be very serious with my YouTube page. Because, even if no streaming service signs me over, and 280 million people are available to watch my content, and I could get 0.1% of those guys to visit my page on a daily basis, I won't need anybody. Do we get that now?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the question I have now is your vision, what you see for your business. Is it as big as what's coming? Because this is coming. And if you don't see it, somebody else is going to see it. Right? People like Netflix are already seeing it. Right? And here's the thing. The reason why this is very important, the reason why everybody in this room is critically important, is that while Nigeria or while Africa's population go up, the rest of the world would experience massive aging. The population in the rest of the world will decline. In some parts of Europe, like Lithuania and all those places, they are paying people to give birth now. People don't want to give birth to children again. Yeah, if you is in Hungary, if you tell the government that you want to have a child, healthcare is free, your child is free, then they will wire you 12,000 euros as a bonus. That thank you very much for deciding to have a child. Finland too. Right? So what's going to happen is that the real market for creative content is going to be on this continent. And Nigeria sitting at the center of this continent. And you know that we very well sit at the center of this content, not just in all ramifications, particularly with regards to entertainment, right? So what does that mean? Many things. It depends on what your plan is. If you want to build a big business and hit a point in your life where you are going to be sipping pina colada off the coast of Barcelona, build a proper business because somebody is going to come and buy you. So that when they come, they can buy you for $5 billion. Right? And then you can now leave and go and follow your passion. Right? Whatever that passion is. Right? Seriously, some of us here, you think you're following your passion, you are not following your passion. You're just hustling. It's when you have $2 billion in your account that your real passion will come out. I'm telling you, you don't know your passion yet. Even me, I don't know what my passion is right now. I'm serious. Because I don't think I can afford my passion. You know? Some of us were not holy. For example, I tell people, if you think you're holy, wait until you have money. Because some sins you have not committed, it's not because you're holy, it's because you can't afford it. Right? So the question is, whatever it is that we're dreaming about, we're thinking about, the way we're preparing our business, are we preparing our business so that it aligns with what's coming? Because everybody in this room right now, and everybody in this industry as of today, no matter how far away you started or if you just started yesterday, you're all pioneers compared to what the country would look like in 20 years. Everybody in this room, they are all pioneers. The industry is too young for you to not think that you're a pioneer. You are, right? Doesn't matter whether you started 10 years ago, 11 years ago, you started yesterday, right? In light of what's coming, you're still a pioneer, you know? And you don't want to build something and then down the road, the industry explodes and then you're no longer in the mix, right? So you want to make sure that the size of your vision aligns with what's coming, right? Next. Now, when you then figure that out, next slide, please. I know what I'm saying is interesting. You're engrossed in it, please. I don't know how much left. Next is, when you then figure that out, how are you communicating? And I'm not just talking about communicating with the external world. I'm talking about first communicating it with your team, right? How big do your people believe this thing can really get? You know? And how much do they trust that as it gets bigger, you know, the change that is coming would also affect them positive, right? But more important than that is how well are we communicating with the external business environment so that they start to take us seriously? Because one of the biggest challenges that I see in this industry today is, and it's been around for a long time, the people with the big bucks do not understand what you guys are doing. And, you know, people still think that animation just is like Photoshop. Sorry, not like Photoshop. It's like, you know, when your open system just press two things, the whole animated content comes out, you know, until you tell them that people like Pixar have 3,000 staffs to produce one movie. And like, what do they need it for? It's not just to be pressing computer. Exactly. The point is, people don't understand, you know, that this is viable yet, right? And so particularly those of us that own studios or are at leadership positions, we need to start to educate. We need to get into boardrooms. We need to start talking to all these people. Why? Because if we don't, every minute that we don't spend time to educate, and it might also mean the need to also go out and try and make a name in terms of international festivals and the likes, right? Why is it important? Because if you don't do that, the market is available. There are people that are seeing the market, they are going to come in. Netflix, all these guys, they're going to come in. Because down the road, their analytics will tell them that they are getting more viewership from Africa. And so they'll start pumping money down there. They're going to, I'm telling you, they're going to come in. Right? And yes, they are going to come in regardless of whether we communicate or not. But if we communicate better, then we might be beneficiaries of them coming in terms of co-production and the likes. Or we might be able to position ourselves such that they can buy us over, and now we can go and commit whatever scene we want to commit, right? So, but the point is, we need to be able to communicate. We need to invest in our ability to communicate, in what we are saying, in how we're saying. That's why I love what's happening with RENDACON, because what's happening now is that the fact that, and you have some partners, French government, all these guys, all of these guys that he's brought on board are beginning to realize that, something is happening. The entire industry is shifting, right? By the time this happens 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I can bet you there will be acquisitions, there'll be big money discussions across the entire industry. It will happen. Whether it will happen with you is what we don't know. No, we can't tell who it will happen with, but it will happen. It will happen. And one of the reasons why it will happen is also the fact that these 280 million people would be very, very present in the online community. And then anybody who sees where 280 million people are going, and the person has money, the person will go there first. right? Please, next slide. And then when I move into management, how are we managing our business? And this is very critical, not just because, it's good to have a great management structure, but it's critical because the first thing that you want to be, the first thing you want to make sure is that your business is alive when this thing happens. Because this future is going to come. It's going to come. Now, I have a program called Strategy Factory where I teach something about timing in business, right? And I just mentioned that everybody in this room right now, no matter when you started, you're all pioneers. And the problem with being a pioneer is that oftentimes you start a business and then you're doing two things. You're running your business and you're also educating the people about your business. So if you think about Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, we think about all those guys, but what we don't remember is High Five, MySpace, who came in, educated the industry about social networking, but died off at the time when the industry picked up. That's why management is important. See, because if you don't manage effectively, you will do a good job educating people about what's happening, but you will run out of steam by the time people get it. Right? So how are you managing your business? How are you managing your business? Right? How are you making sure that the business has enough resources to run? How are you making sure that you're getting skilled labor, but maybe not expensive skilled labor? Right? How are we trying to figure out all of those types of things? So I wanted to say something now, but I don't know if I should say it, but let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So if we, no, I was going to talk about how are we, and I'm going to share a few ideas of things that I think that we should be looking at here as an industry, right? Now, the way industries grow abroad is that industries collaborate with tertiary institutions. That's the way they grow abroad. So if you think about technology, you think MIT. If you think about, every time an industry wants to take things seriously, they would find a tertiary institution. And the reason why they find tertiary institutions is because when they find those kinds of people, right, the institution becomes a pipeline of research and labor, inexpensive labor. Right? Because, a student that is still in school doesn't have a lot of problems. It's not like me now, I have 2 children, I'm thinking about it, I'm going to pay school fees, that kind of thing, right? So, but you want to find people, and I have a few ideas. So first, if we see the future, if we see that these 280 million people would need, now, and the reason why I am dead sure that it would happen? Because the kind of growth we have that we want to see in the creative industry has happened already. It's happened in the entertainment space. It's happened already. Now, if you're old enough, you remember that many, many years ago, you turn on the radio, all you're hearing is Tupac and all that kind of stuff, right? You don't hear any Nigerian artists on radio. Tupac, all those boys, that kind of thing. And then some pioneers came on board, right? There was DJ Jimmy Jazz, Two-Faced, Plantation Boys, Remedies, and all those guys, right? But now the people that are eating from the industry, a few people made it through. Stayed relevant. Two-Faced sort of struggled himself in. Maybe DJ Jimmy Jazz is still somewhere in the mix, but everybody else is gone.
Plantation
Boys gone.
Idris Abdulkarim.
Gone, right? Blackface is still chilling in Festac. Do you understand? And he's fighting court case. They're gone. And the reason is because, we still respect them, but they are broke, respected broke people. If the entire year we say, hey, Baba, what's up? Hey, why don't you are the pioneers of the industry. But when we go out, you take Uber, I take my escalator, I'm going home, man. So the question is, if you see that future is coming, why not project, plan your organizations, make sure that you're ready to get to that place. So I want to share a few ideas before I go. That I think that we should be doing with respect to helping to manage. Please, next slide, please. So the first is, I feel like the animation industry, whether as individual studios or as an association or whatever it is, that there should be a way that you guys should connect with NYC.
Yeah.
There should be a connection between you and NYC. There are a lot of people who are creative people, studied, they're stuck in NYC, they're going to go and teach in a school. They hate it. Right? They should be able to work in your studios. You know, the beautiful thing about NYC guys, they can't live for 1 year.
And you don't need to pay them.
And you don't even need to pay. If you fire them 10K, they are happy. Because the government is paying them that 20 something K. If you fire them extra 10K, they are big boys. I don't know if you understand. Big boys living large. Do you understand? But we miss out on those opportunities. If you get those kinds of people, if somebody stays with you for 1 year, they should either be able to build capacity or be able to show enough value such that they, whatever it is that you want to pay them post that time, they would have worked for it. Right? One other thing that I that I recommended to Smiths, and I use the word recommend, even though I'm a shareholder, but if you've ever been in business with your wife, you know how hard it is. You know, because you have to know when you're a business partner. When you're a business partner, you have to know when you cross it, and they expect you to be a husband. So, please take a picture. By the way, I mean, can everybody get the slides? Is there a way?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, if I've given it to them, they can send it, or I would put my number there. If you send me a message, I'll send you the slides. Or rather, okay, the number there is not my number, it's for one of my staff. But I'll call out my number. If you send me a message, I'll just forward the slides to you. It's a small class. There's no reason why you shouldn't get it. So that's one. And you should be able to get access to those NYC guys, but also you should be able to get access. So there are some people that go to polytechnics, they finish their OND, they have 1 year that they have to work before they do their HMD.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Why are they not working in your studios? If you go to Yaba Tech, if you go to all of, you find them, right? And for them, if you sell them a big enough dream and you provide, so for example, I suggested to Smith that, and it sort of worked. Every time Smith gets an office, we always make it a point to have like a living place within the office. You know, it's costed a little bit more. It means that you have to get maybe a duplex that has a BQ and all that kind of stuff. But it works like fire because, you know, they have a place that they could stay, you know, so they're not worried about where to stay. They have, you know, you create a institution, you have inverter and all that kind of, there's 24 hours internet, there's 24 hours light, they can work like their life depends on it. I mean, you'll be shocked at how less people are willing to take if you take away all the things that they could be worried about. I'm telling you. You know, except when they marry and they have children, now they're worried about real things. But if you take away all the little things, their lives would be they would work a lot harder. So I feel like, why am I saying that? See, because the problem that the industry has is a lack of talent. And some of us have this talent. We have the skills within our studios, you know, and we should just pump 20 people into that place. You know, and they should learn. Now, will most of them leave? They'll leave. They'll all leave. But will it make the industry better? It will. Now, there is one industry that I personally think needs to be applauded, massively applauded, when it comes to 3D animation within the country and developing talent. And that industry, that company is Orange. Where are the Orange people here? Good. Give them a round of applause, and I'll tell you why. Just give them a round of applause first. I don't have any affiliation with Orange. But if you look at all the people in the country now that are at the top of their game, 3D-wise, there is a part of their history that involved Orange. I'm telling you. Right? If somebody goes to Orange, spends 6 months, their head will be correct. I don't know what they do in that place. but they used to fix people's head. Yeah? Right? So, but I'm saying that I don't know if that was a strategy or if that happened by chance, but I am saying that let us make sure that that is deliberate. Let's do that deliberately now. Right? Provide these opportunities, get these people in before they have to be worried about, the kind of things that some of us are worried about now, and then give them these skills. Most of them will get out, yes, but a lot of them, as we build down the road, the industry will be better for it. Significantly better for it. Right? Is it possible that we run our organization lean enough so that we can live longer? Is it possible that we run lean enough? What does that mean? Again, and this is the way I see it. I would rather that you spend a lot of money getting a decent place as an office and take the balance of that money to work on your digital profile than to have an office in Banana Island. I know it's very prestigious to have an office in a significantly right side of town, but at the rate at which your business is making money, how sustainable is that? Right? So why not move a little bit to Bagada or move a little bit down the road from phase 1, get a place, get a bigger place, do you understand? Just figure it out. Figure it out. And make sure that you're running as lean as possible. I know Orange has a new office now, but I have a lot of respect. I've met Richard a few times. I have a lot of respect for Richard. I remember I visited your studio in Surulere, and that was like the first, I've spoken with him over the phone and all, but that was the first time that I visited the studio. And it was a nice place. The studio itself was well organized, but it was in an environment that I think wasn't that expensive. And that, it was huge for me. When I walked out of that place, since I told my wife, I said, look, this guy is going to be here for a long time. And she said, why? I said, because he understands that you have to run lean until your business can more than afford it. And then you now start to show yourself. But the point is, the key in this industry is that, number one, you must be alive in 20 years. Don't run in such a way that you'll be dead in 20 years or dead in 5 years. Right? I don't know if it's right for me to say this here, but I will. I'm not in your industry, so if you guys shout, I will hear. A couple of years ago, one guy that used to run, still runs, used to run a streaming, he came in from the UK, raised a lot of money. Used to run this thing where, I'm trying not to call it everything. I didn't. So, and then, raised a lot of money and then dabbled into a lot of industries. Dabbled into a lot of industries, including the animation industry, And I remember at that time, Smith, we had made some, mass 10 million investment, we had bought some render servers, and at the end of the day, the only thing we could afford at the time was maybe like one Cintiq and some Dell systems. And then this guy just came and fired Cintiq, everybody Cintiq. You remember that time? Fire everybody, Mac, everybody. So I remember when, and it was like, he bought it from Conga, so there was this big post, pictures. I remember when my wife saw it, she couldn't sleep for 2 days. She's like, this guy, we've been working at this industry. I said, no. And I told her, I said, see, this your industry requires patience. So the guy that started it, Steve Jobs, spent $6 billion and it still took him 7 years to make money. I said that just wait. In 2 or 3 years, it will go. Because he's not running the kind of model that can keep you alive in this industry. And true to the word, in 2 to 3 years, he shut it down.
The animation studio?
Yes. I don't want to mention the name. They know the name. So that they don't capture it in the... Because the CEO is very vocal. And I don't have a lot of followers on Instagram. Right? And lastly, is it possible we run properly so that we're ready for acquisition? Can we run properly so that we're ready to be bought when the opportunity comes? Right? Because the opportunity will come. If you run properly, in 5-10 years, somebody with big money will come, and then the smart thing to do at that time might be to sell all or part of your company to that person, so that you two can chill. It's not every time you struggle. But at that time, when people come, when that opportunity comes, there'll be 4 things that they're looking for. A lot of things, but I always teach 4 things that business owners must, pay attention to. 4 things. The first of them is that your technical ability. If you're an animation studio, and whatever kind of animation you do, are you in the top 1% of people that can do that thing around the world? Technically, now, right? If somebody looks at what you produce and looks at what, say, a Pixar produces, is there a stark difference or is it close? So if you look at DreamWorks, look at what DreamWorks produces, or this, I watch a lot of cartoons because I'm married to somebody that does cartoons, so I watch more cartoons than any other thing in my life. My house is predominantly on cartoon channels, and I've grown to enjoy it. Good. So there's this series, Chinese series, something about dragon. I can't remember the name. Like a genie, but the guy is a dragon. It's on Netflix, eh?
Last Dragon or Magic Dragon or something.
Is it
Magic
Sony
wish,
animation?
something wish, dragon wish.
Yeah, which dragon? Which dragon?
Which dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at that stuff, I mean, the quality of that can match the quality of any animation. In fact, can match Pixar, can match anything. So the question is, are you that great at it? The second is your brand equity, right? As you're working on your business, how many people within and without the industry know how good you are at what you do, right? So as a studio, I'd rather, instead of getting an office in a fine area, I'll say get an office in a moderate area and save some money to go to Annecy, to go to festivals around the world. Those kind of things are more marketable for you than having your office in Ikoyi or something. I'm telling you the truth, right? Save some money. Make sure that every time there's a notable, festival happening, 1 or 2 of your people must go there. So that you can have conversations. So that one day, when a conversation is happening in New York, your name can come up. But as you're also doing that, make sure that you're putting out some form of content, you're putting it online, and you're putting some money behind it. Put money behind what you've done. Let people see it. Let people see it. Third is the processes. How are things done in your studio? Is there a way things are done? Do you have a workflow pattern? Is it defined? If somebody walks into your studio as a newbie, how long does it take for them to be able to become experts at a particular area based on what plan you're putting them on, right? And lastly is data. Are you keeping track on who's watching your stuff and why? Because as you get all those information, it might, again, determine or change your course as to what you should be focusing on, all right? Having said all of that, thank you very much. Next slide, last slide, my number. No, that's not my number, that's somebody from my organization. But please, is it possible that they get the slides?
Yes, we'll try and arrange it.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, you get the slides, fine.
Okay, so let's give him a round of applause. Let's clap for him. The reason why I stopped him now is he has 10 minutes, but I believe you guys have questions, so that we can take your question. But I want to mention that Mr. Edward Esene will be speaking right here by 4 p.m. and he will be talking on structuring your animation business. So he's going to be talking about structuring. Okay. Edward has worked in some nice places. He was, you win during Goodluck Jonathan's time. He was the one that he packaged most of the proposals that won you win back then. And he's still doing that now. So he knows how to package proposals. He knows what you put inside proposals. So don't miss it. It's here by 4 p.m. Okay. So questions. Let's bombard him with
Any
questions.
questions?
I have questions, but let me get your questions first. I think the lady has a question. Don't be shy. Yes.
It's coming.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Maybe let me.
Please
shoot
sit down.
you.
Say big man.
So, because this is a VVIP section, because we believe that those people here, they are really interested about their business. They really want to take things, global and all that. I don't know, you've mentioned some things, but looking at the Nigerian space, let's just imagine that there's a studio here, I know you're a man of strategy. Can you just, in this session, come up with a strategy, point 1 to 2, 3 to 5, that will get the person to somewhere that will have like a major deal, just a practical walkthrough journey.
Alright, so let's take a hypothetical
strategy.
studio. A hypothetical studio comes out. So the first things first is to determine where they want to focus. So if you want to get a big deal, the big deal is not vague, right? So do I want to focus on children animation, pre-K, whatever it is, we have to be sure first, right? And then when we get sure about whatever it is that we want to focus on, then we need to now think about who are the kinds of people that either fund those kind of things or are interested in those kind of things, right? So for example, I see a lot of studios in Nigeria do comedy a lot, like comic stuff and all that. And as great as it is, and I'm not shitting on anybody's parade, but as great as it is, they do it in such a way that it only attracts the Nigerian space. Because again, comedy is local. All comedy is local.
Yeah.
Right? So what that means is that if an investor in the US or in Barbados is looking at it, he can't connect with it. So now that's a problem, because you would be very popular on YouTube, but you'd be broke. Right? So that's why we're saying, who are we focused on? And then what are those people concerned about? Right? And then how do we then start to create? So I'll give you an instance. You might realize that I want to focus on children between 5 and 10. But what I want to focus on is sort of creativity. So I could still be funny, but I would wrap the entire thing around sort of inspiring creativity every now and then. So that when I'm talking to somebody who could possibly fund me, I'll say, look, the base of this thing is creativity, right? We made it a little local for the African environment, but we're focused on trying to get people to be creative, or trying to get people to be resourceful, or trying to get people to, do you understand? So that's, but when you figure out all of that, I think that one of the major things that studios must do is network. And you don't have to get out of Nigeria to network. Please, if you can, get out of Nigeria, go to NSC, go to all these places, and when you get there, don't sit down, go everywhere, meet everybody, introduce yourself, talk to everybody, and all of that. But even aside from that, we miss out on places like LinkedIn. Get into LinkedIn. Get into communities of people, right? I'll give you, it's a bit of an unrelated example, but I'll share. So I have some people that get into like my one-on-one coaching. It's a bit expensive, but this lady gets in. She's the head of treasury at Renman. She gets in, and I'm sitting down with her. This was January 2020. I'm sitting down with her, I'm saying, what's your goal? She said she wants to work at the IFC, International Finance Corporation. And I said, good. So what's the major move that you need to move from here to that place? What's the major thing that can happen to you within the country such that you can, she said, the major thing that can happen is to get a top level job at the #1 investment bank in Nigeria. What's the #1 investment bank in Nigeria? She mentioned, where you go? Denim, something denim.
Yeah, they're the ones sponsoring these Lions Den stuff.
Yeah, oh gosh. Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill Denim.
Denim.
Chapel Hill Denim. I said, good. I said, first, where is the CEO quite active? So you like talking about finances? She said, yes. I said, then go on LinkedIn, say something about personal finance, so sort of educate people. But I said, here's the key. When you're educating, don't think, even though you want to attract the top guys, don't talk like you're trying to I try to talk guys, be as simple as everybody. And she said, why? I said, because most of us don't realize that very wealthy people are not that sophisticated. They don't know a lot. They're just people who take opportunities. And so when you're too sophisticated, they will applaud you, but they will go back door and they will talk to the person that they understand. That speaks in the language that they understand. So she would put out something once every other week. And so the lockdown happens and I pick up the phone and I call, I say, you know what? Now I want you to start putting out content every single day in all these different groups. She said, why? I said, if you do that every single day, we'll get something will happen in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, Mr. I think it's Bio, the CEO, son of Shubhim Balogun. Bio sends her a DM on LinkedIn. Bolaji. Sends her a DM on LinkedIn and says, you know, I've been reading your stuff, been learning a lot from what you're doing. She said, oh, she calls me and said, this guy sent me, and I said, don't worry, offer you a job.
Wow.
4 weeks later, I sent her a mail, say, you know what? How about if I invite you to come and become the vice president of treasury at Chapel Hill? It's 5 times. She moved from being able to manage 4 billion naira rent money to well over 200 billion naira at Chapel Hill. So a lot of us are missing out what's happening in that place. We should have somebody on our team that is on LinkedIn, in all the forums, right? Somebody says something, post an intelligent comment to his, post an intelligent comment. Somebody says something else, just make sure that you are go on Instagram, put post notification on all the people that you think are important and start, just engage them or else, because if you do that, those are easy ways that they can notice you. And the moment they notice you, then you're one step closer to getting it.
Mr. Thank you very much for that. Our time is running out. Because another session is about to start. Gaming, you know, and the speakers are already around. You have 1 minute. Please, can you just tell them about yourself and how they can engage you? Because I know you're a consultant.
Well, I'll give you my phone number. Like I said, if I'll give you my phone number, if you send me a message, I'll forward you the slides so that you don't have to bother him. You get the slides immediately. I think what I think will be useful for us is that I actually have this program that I do last Friday of the month at Marriott Hotel. It's called Strategy Factory. So I bring business owners from different industries. We'll sit down for about 10 hours and we talk about your business, the kind of things that you should be focused on, right? From how do you build a business that your people would want to work in, to we have classes on networking, business networking. We have classes on strategy, what you should be thinking about, and the like. So it's not that it's sort of like the cheapest way to work with me, because the alternative is to get into my coaching program for a 6-month period. I meet with them 2 times a month for 5 million naira. So yeah, so just spend 100K or spend 5 million. I'd rather I spend 5 million because I want to quickly make it in life so that I can, so I can test my Christianity.
All right, thank you very much. Let's give you a round of applause.
Yeah, I was going to drop my number, sorry. 0817, sorry, sir. 0817 099 7431. 0817 099 7431.
What's your name?
Ezekiel, surely, sir.
I have just one question. I don't know.
Okay, sir.
I guess my question is, what from the industry, so I've spoken to a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
And what I'm trying to understand is, some people focus on quantity, some people focus on quality. You mentioned something about YouTube, and pumping stuff on YouTube. The thing is, animation obviously takes a lot of time, as we all know. So if you're going to sacrifice for us, we know what our pipeline and time takes for us to produce these things. If it takes you, let's for example, say it takes about 10 minutes to produce one short film, that's about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're producing that's almost a year gone.
Yeah.
Basically, you're producing one thing. So the question is, that 10 months, and maybe if you took 5 months to produce something, quantity, but it's funny, but it's not quality. And so what do you think about the idea of quantity versus quality?
Again, it depends on what you want to be known for. So I was in Annecy with my wife, and she was talking to one guy who makes $200,000-$300,000 every year selling his content. The content is not really that great, You know, so I was talking to her and said, look, well, you guys can spend 10 years trying to make content. Me, I'm cashing out every year. The guy came from South Africa, so he's like, every year I'm making money. So again, a business has to decide, what do we want to be known for? And it also depends on how much money you have, right? So if you have a lot of money and you can wait 2 years, 3 years, produce, you know, the best thing you want to produce and come out there. But again, it depends. Most of us bootstrap our business, right? So instead of coming up with a 10-minute short film, why not do something that is 1 or 2 minutes and get it out there, right? Do something that is 1 or 2 minutes, make it like a pilot, get it out there. People start to get traction. Somebody say, I'm interested in that. Okay, good. $500,000 to produce 13 episodes. You know, rather than wait for 10 months and then produce 10 minutes and then you spend all these resources. And now, because the marketing is the marketing. The person that started marketing 8 months ago because they produced a 2-minute short, you know, when you start marketing 10 months after, you started at where he started. That's the truth. You started at where he started. So I would have said, see the 10-minute short you want to produce, yes, you should have a team figuring that out. But create something that is short, 1 minute, something, just create something, put it out there, and let the conversation be that, oh, this is what we have, but we're working on something. You know? Because again, your business must make money. There's no, I mean, don't die before you make money, eh?
Can I just add to that? Based on my experience, you know, moving around, I realized that most times, I might be wrong, but this is my own opinion, that in Nigeria, we focus more on the tech and the quality part of things. We want our animation to be solid, we want it to be like very quality because our forefathers or DC and Marvel characters, we see what Disney, we want it to look like that. But when you go to Europe, maybe Germany, France, you know, you realize that it's not as tough as we think. We are so hard on ourselves in this country. We are so hard.
Can I say something? If you want to know that you can make it in life, go and watch PBS. No PBS.
Exactly.
I have
PBS.
They have a lot of stuff
So
in Prime as well.
the animation is useless. And every time I watch it, I tell my wife, I say, you can still make it. If these people are making it, then...
So, but my point is that I think this should, you know, speak to a lot of studios. If I ask most of us now, most studios don't have a story person. They don't have a story department. And I was sharing, I think in another panel, and I was saying one of the reasons why Spoof has really gone well is because we have a rich story department. I don't know, but we might have the best so far in this country. No, I'm not joking. You need to have a good story department, because if you have a good story department, those things, people don't watch animation, they watch stories. And I think that's the problem that we have. That's one problem that we have, you know. People don't watch animation, they watch stories. And that's why sometimes you see a very great animation, you don't connect with it. Okay, so I think the take home is that you need to go back and ask yourself, we need a story department. And also you need to tell yourself, am I going to be a service company or a product company? Because if you're a service company, you might not need, or you might think you don't need a story department, because why do I need a story department? The agency will do all the work. I'll just do this thing. So you need to ask yourself, do I want to be a product person or a service person? Have the story department. As much as Peppa Pig is that simple, the story is very thick.
It's a fantastic story. I watch Peppa Pig every day.
And let me shock you, because I'm a writer as well. The hardest thing to write in life are those short things. They are the hardest things in life. I'm telling you, try it. It's the hardest thing in life. You know, do things only 5 minutes, because in that 5 minutes, it must have a beginning, middle, and an end, and a conflict. Okay, so just to wrap it up, like I want to, and so it's just know where you want to play in, and don't just be a skit person. Even skits these days, you know, they have like some bit of conflicts. They have a beginning, middle, and end, so you can actually, you know, understand it. But don't just be somebody that just put out something just to make people laugh. But let's it have like a story, you know, because even music can have story. Am I right? So how much more animation? So I think if you do it that way, then you can go quantity. And let me also say this. My experience is that animation is a quantity market. Take it or leave it. It's a quantity market. You know, I've been able to go to Annecy several times. I'll be going again next year. Yes, and that's something you guys should follow us and find out, because I'm working on. That's why we're having this business, because not everybody can do these things. And if you're not a business-minded person, forget it. So if you can pay for this session, it means you are a business-minded person. We will be taking some people to Annecy next year. I'm talking with the French government, so I'm coordinating it. So I'll be picking people to go based on the budget I have. Okay, so I think it's something that you should find a way of going with us and traveling and going there. We're going to have a Nigerian pavilion. But my point is this: one thing I've realized is that when you go to those places, it's a quantity market. They'll ask you, how many episodes do you have? If you say 1, bam. Okay, it's a quantity market. And my last session I did on producing animation, you also need to have done your pitch deck. That's why I need the story department. Your pitch deck and everything has to be intact. So when they see 13 episodes already done, and they're like, oh wow, let's talk. A lot of streamers, the guy from Super TV came to yesterday as well, and she was like, they're looking for content. And she was like, how many episodes that she doesn't want one-off? And that's one thing that we do. Someone just does one short film, and that's the end. Even though they buy that, we were able to sell, in fact, a TV station, I don't want to mention the TV station, and say, look, we are buying everything you have. And they bought everything we have, worth about 10 million, you know, for a 12 months exclusive, not exclusive, 12-month deal. Just put on their channel for 12 months, and we got 10 million. So you need to think quantity. Quality is good, but if you have good story, people will not mind your quality. So I think that the next session with Edward, I'll be in it as well. So I would say more about this stuff, about winning monies and getting grants and all that. All right, so I think we can wrap up. So let's thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we can move to the VIP.